Webinar famous.
You are webinar famous. Everybody's getting pretty famous around here. It's great. And we just turned to 4 o'clock. So welcome everyone joining us on Zoom and on Facebook. Before I introduce our webinar today, I just want to start with our usual introductory slides. We would like to acknowledge the Pueblo, Ute, Paiute, Dene, and Hickory Apache people on whose traditional homelands our campus sits. Our mission-related work is not possible at all without Indigenous people in the past, present, and future, and we respectfully recognize and honor ancestral and descendant Indigenous communities for their contributions to all humankind. We are grateful to all Indigenous people, and especially our partners here today, and we support the preservation and protection of cultural traditions, ancestral connections, and sacred lands. As usual, if you're familiar with our webinars, if you have questions during the presentation, please pop them in the Q&A. That way they won't get lost if people are chatting in the chat. If Zoom is giving you trouble, we are live streaming on Facebook, and you can always check out our past and current webinars on our YouTube channel. So please subscribe. Next week on November 30th, which is actually my birthday, we have Inscribed Indigenous Wisdom, Interpreting Rock Art Through Indigenous Women's Perspectives and Voices with Emily Van Alst. Very excited about this webinar. Something new today that Taylor put up, you can put your phone against the screen here and get our QR code, because we have launched registrations for our 2024 programs. 2 of them have already sold out. One of them with our speaker today, Lyle Balenquah, with Steve Copeland in Arizona. The Salado Phenomenon is sold out. Backcountry in the Bears Ears is sold out. You can get on the waiting list, so don't hesitate if you really like that program. I want to give a shout out to our American Indian Initiatives Manager and Educator, Rebecca Hammond. You can sign up for her program, Ancient Cultures of the Green River, next September, October. You won't want to miss that. And I feel obliged to point out that Movement in Memory with our board member, Teresa Pasquale, our advisory group member, Octavia Siatwa, and our own Dr. Susan Ryan, that still has seats left. Octavius, we can now say, is an Emmy award-winning actor and scholar for his recent short that he was in on Chaco Canyon. So if you want to be with Octavius, Teresa and Susan are pretty awesome too. They just don't have an Emmy. So, and then Glen Canyon Rising, I think there's maybe 1 seat left if you would like to travel with Lyle this year. And then really excited about the Pueblo World with Anthony Lovato and Lee Makino, which is also I think one of the first Crow Canyon projects or programs that we've done that has only Native scholars. There will be only the staff on that one. So very excited to work with Anthony on that. Just our usual gratitude shout out. Thank you for coming to the conference. Thank you for your generosity. These webinars are entirely donor supported. Most of our work is entirely donor supported. We could not do it without you. And we really can't express how much it means to us that you all have such faith in our mission and in us. And we are really blessed to have you as part of our community. Well, without further ado, I'm just going to say a couple of words of introduction, but I'll let Lyle introduce himself and his colleagues. It is truly an honor to have Lyle Balenquah as a friend and colleague, a member of the Hopi tribe, renowned archaeologist, river guide, hiking guide, advocate for the protection and preservation of ancestral landscapes. We are very, very grateful to be able to partner with you, Lyle, in this work and be able to be a partner and to support your goals of promoting and mentoring other Indigenous guides. So with that, I will turn it over to you.
Okay, well, greetings, everybody. I appreciate all of you taking time out of your day to join us here. I'm just going to get right into this. We're always short on time on these things. Before I get into it, I want to acknowledge that we have the crew with us. We have Ritchie, Sahneyah, Nate Francis, and hopefully Autry Lomahongva will be joining us pretty soon. And I want to leave time after the movie to give them some space if they want to make some comments or statements or just add anything that I miss, which is a lot actually. And so we'll get to those folks, and we give proper introductions in the video. There's a lot in the video, so I'm just going to briefly touch on a few things here to give some background on how we got to this point. And we'll start with the video itself. I'm closing in. Next year, it will be 10 years that I have had an affiliation with Crow Canyon Archaeological Center. I've spent 10 years, almost 10 years, participating in the cultural explorations programs and doing other program work with them. And throughout that time, we've had many conversations about how to improve the work we do. And I used the statement at the top, this organic thing, because it's kind of an inside joke, I think, for us there at Crow Canyon and amongst the group. A lot of this work is just built by idea after idea being put on the table. And then the group, both Crow Canyon staff and leadership in this group I work with, pursuing those ideas and trying to figure out a way to make it happen. And so within that time frame of working with Crow Canyon, I've had many conversations about how to improve the program work that we do. And one of those conversations was during a Bears Ears trip in 2021. I distinctly remember Adam and I were in the lead vehicle driving down the west side of Comb Ridge, the red dusty road of Comb Ridge. And we were having this conversation about how to improve the work. And I immediately offered the 3 bullet points that you see there about how to improve some of the program work that we were doing. These are ideas that have been floating around for a long time, more than 10 years. And I need to acknowledge that there are others that have been involved in this work even before I got into it. Other Native tribal members, other Native guides that introduced me to the idea of what a Native guide could be. And so we're not able to get into it today, but hopefully somewhere down the line, we will fill in that part of the story. And so a lot of the ideas that I presented had been already talked about and discussed amongst us as Native guides. And so this program, these ideas weren't new. We just continually seek new ways in which to apply them. And so out of that conversation, the next season rolled around, 2022, and I was thankfully surprised to find out that Crow Canyon had put actual meaning and action into these ideas when they informed me that they were creating space so that I could bring on additional tribal members. And so in 2022, I was able to bring on, or we were able to bring on Ritchie and Nate on a Bears Ears trip. And then earlier this year in 2023, we were able to bring on Autry. And during those trips, they're really there to just learn, observe and learn and participate to whatever degree they feel comfortable. I had already presented this idea about documenting this work to Crow Canyon. And so out of the conversations we had again, Crow Canyon generously offered some technical assistance in filming and editing this video. We had really no idea what it was going to turn into at that time, but we were pretty enthusiastic to just start to document this work, which has been ongoing since then. And so following those 2 trips, we did 2 more trips to go out and collect additional footage for this program that you're going to see today. In the summer of 2023, earlier in July, we went back to the Bears Ears to do most of the interview work that you're going to see today and collect some additional B-roll. And then in September, a couple months ago, Autry and I joined some Crow Canyon staff to do a scouting trip for that Glen Canyon Rising trip that's happening in 2024. And we were able to collect additional video. One of the things that you will experience in the video is some really awesome, beautiful flute music that's played by Autry. We were able to, while we were up in Lake Powell, we were able to motor back into some of the side canyons and have Autry play in the really big alcoves back there. And so we're really fortunate to have his music contribute to this program. And again, there's a lot here that I'm not able to go into. at some point we'll tell that story as well. I am using some Hopi archaeology as kind of influence in this project. Through our work with the Hopi Culture Preservation Office and other researchers, we've documented a lot of our cultural history, as it's played out across the Southwest. And so this idea of return migrations, the term and the philosophy behind it, is directly related to some of this research that we've done from the Hopi side and with others. And the map you're looking at there with the red and black arrows really is just a schematic showing all the various routes that ancestral Hopi clans have, traversed across the Southwest. Our ultimate destination was, of course, here, the center of the universe on the Hopi Mesas. And once we got here, that wasn't the end of the story. We of course, still maintained memory and connections of the landscapes that our ancestors once occupied. And so in honoring that memory and that history, within Hopi culture, there is a form of pilgrimage. It can be formal, informal, it can be individual, it can be group oriented. But what those pilgrimages entail is traversing back into those landscapes to honor and remember that history. And many times, these pilgrimages involve offerings. And what you're looking at there, the ceramics there are a form called Hopi yellowware. And this is a unique instance. I'm going to play a little story here, an audio program that will give you some context of what this is talking about. But Hopi yellowware is only made on the Hopi Mesas. However, there was a cache of Hopi yellowware discovered in what is now Canyonlands National Park, over 200 miles away from the Hopi Mesas. It's a unique cache because they were intact bowls. The black and white photograph you see there is the actual photo of the cache as it was discovered. And the bottom right photo shows a yellowware jar that is full of raw salt. Raw salt, or salt in general, is a rare item. And so the combination of this unique combination of items leads us to believe that this is a actual Hopi return migration. Let me see here. How am I going to do this? I forgot to.
You'll probably have to stop your screen share, and then you'll just hit share screen one more time, and then you'll just share sound at the bottom left-hand corner of the pop-up window that you'll receive when sharing your screen.
This is Earth Notes. In the summer of 1963, a cache of 5 intact pottery jars and bowls was discovered in what is now Canyonlands National Park in Utah. The discovery is unique because the pottery consists entirely of a type known as Hopi yellowwares, which is only made on the Hopi Mesas in northeastern Arizona, 200 miles away. This style was developed in the 13th century. The pots are fired with coal dug from local deposits. This results in hotter firing temperatures, creating vibrant yellow, orange, and red hues in the finished clay. Their shapes include ladles, bowls, and jars, decorated with abstract birds, feathers, and geometric patterns, painted in red, black, and white pigments. Archaeologists who studied the Canyonlands cache believe the pottery was made between the 14th and 16th centuries. They also have some theories on how these particular ceramics ended up so far from the Hopi Mesas. One idea is the pottery was traded from Hopi and later stashed where it was found. But finding a set of intact yellowware vessels is rare and indicates this cache may have had a more specific purpose. Another theory says the cache is evidence of a ceremonial pilgrimage undertaken by a group of Hopi people not long after the pottery was made. This centuries-old tradition is meant to honor the history of Hopi culture and often includes whole pottery vessels as offerings. Some Hopis believe this is how the cache made its way to Utah, carried by descendants on a spiritual journey back into the lands of the ancestors.
Okay, that should give you some context of where I'm drawing some of this influence from in terms of not only the cultural traditions of the past that are influencing the work, but also just in terms of how we are relating to this work presently. It sets the tone, the foundation for our work in terms of, if we place it in this context of a return migration, what does it stand for? Well, it stands for a lot of things. It stands for reverence and respect, honoring that ancestral history. And so this is a way in which we as Indigenous guides can reframe the work we do. And I'm contrasting it against, I guess, a standard commercial kind of trip. There's a different goal that we have in mind with this work. And so this is just some of that background in which I'm coming from. We can go ahead and share the video now and then return to this afterwards. Thanks, everybody. This is our history out here, and many times we're not given the opportunities to experience that landscape and that history because of different barriers. But through this opportunity of being an Indigenous or Native guide, there's an opportunity there for that I saw to be able to bring in other individuals. Hello, my name is Lyle Balenquah. I'm from the village of Balenquah on Third Mesa on Hopi. I'm a member of the Greasewood clan, and I've been working as a guide out here in the Bears Ears landscape for about 16 seasons. Before I got into guiding, my main work has been as an archaeologist. I have both a bachelor's and master's degrees in cultural anthropology from Northern Arizona University. And for over 2 decades now, I've been working as a field archaeologist across the Southwest. And in a way, it was really archaeology that led me to the work as a commercial guide. Through my work as an archaeologist, I've been able to combine 2 sets of knowledge. On one hand, I'm learning the Western scientific perspective of archaeology. And on the other hand, more importantly, I'm also able to learn about and also incorporate more of my Hopi cultural background. Through the work that I've done over the years, I've been very fortunate to learn and interact with traditional knowledge holders from my community. And so it's through those experiences that I've gained greater understanding of the Hopi history as it exists across the Southwest. So over the years, I've been able to see how the combination of these 2 sets of knowledge, I've seen how they can enhance not only the field of archaeology, they can enhance the experience that we can provide as guides. One thing that archaeology and guiding have in common, however, is a noticeable lack of the Indigenous participation and presence in the work we do. When I first started working in guiding, it was somewhat rare to work alongside another tribal member. However, over the years, there has been an increase in the number of Native guides, and there are pockets of us here and there. but we can still be few and far between. And so I've always had the dream, I guess, the desire to work with others from my community in the things that I do, both archaeology and guiding. I had started working with Crow Canyon almost 10 years ago, I think, doing the cultural explorations tour program. And I started to see how they were willing to, pursue some of these ideas that their Indigenous partners were bringing to them, ideas about how we can incorporate more of the Native perspective into the work we do. And so I wanted to change the environment in which, we were working in. And so I presented this idea to Crow Canyon, and that was my desire to not be the only Native on the guiding crew anymore, that I wanted to be able to bring others from my community out into this landscape. Also to start training others in how to be a guide, a Native guide. There's a lot of different considerations we have to take into, we have to consider those considerations about our cultural backgrounds and what are some of the boundaries and how do we interact with commercial guests or guests on a commercial trip that are largely non-Native. We're commercial guides in one sense. We're here to teach the outside public. The public education part is a big component of what we do. And so I wanted to be able to bring that experience back to our people, back to the descendant communities of these places that we're working in. But those are kind of the two main priority ones. One is to increase the diversity of the guiding pool that currently exists, but also to really the priority for me now is the cultural preservation aspect in terms of teaching our folks about their history so that they can then go back to our communities and encourage our own people to learn about these places. This is our opportunity now to be able to close the circle, so to speak, to bring it full circle and allow our own Indigenous people to experience their cultural history.
Hello, my name is Autry Lomahongva. I am Hopi and Navajo. My clan affiliations are Roadrunner Clan and Hopi, and on my Diné side is Eshiheh Salt Clan. Right now I am in Bears Ears National Monument at the base of the Bears Ears Buttes, and I'm here with Crow Canyon and a number of my Indigenous guides here to tell our perspectives on what it is to be an Indigenous guide. The problems we face, the solutions that we could come up with, and just our wishes of what it is to be like and what our future guiding is going to be. I look forward to them because every time I go out, it's a good time for everybody to joke around, good time for someone to teach, good time to experience new places with different people. And when you get to go through something like that, it's pretty eye-opening, and it kind of pushes you to look forward to do more trips with them and maybe set up a few trips on your own, because once I did that week-long trip with Crow Canyon, when we went into Kane Gulch and Bullet Canyon, I went back to Bullet Canyon with my family, my mom, and then my two little brothers. I took them out, and they thought it was going to be maybe a 2 mile to a mile hike, and little did they know it turned out to be a 9.5 mile hike. And they were exhausted, their legs were hurting when we got back to the vehicle at the trailhead. But once we got back home, my baby brother, he said that was the best day ever. And he said, I want to learn more. I want to hear the stories now. And that, ignites that flame, inside my chest, because here, the next generation asking questions about who he comes from and the people he originates from. I want to learn more. that was the best day ever. Crow Canyon offers that chance to invite me out to different locations with different people, and later on I could bring out my family and other people that I know to these different locations, educate them, and reteach them the people that they come from. So we keep our practices going and not dying out. You know, we keep this skill alive in a way. Being native guides, we have our own way of viewing things. Outsiders, they come and they see this old village as being just that. You know, people lived here, they went, and it's there, it's staying. But when indigenous native guides, we come back, we see stories written on and painted on the walls. We have offerings that we need to leave. We come to those sites with reverence and respect. And it's like you're revisiting, you know, your grandma's, your grandpa's house. And what I take away mostly from these trips that I go on is always like, it's brought me closer to culture, because I learn how to speak in Hopi, I learn how to speak in Navajo, and also teaches me how to view it at a scientific and archaeological viewpoint too. So you have all these competing factors every time we go out guiding somewhere. So you learn all this knowledge, and I store it in my mind. I go back home, I tell it to my family members, and they always say, "Oh, you're so lucky, you're so lucky. Why do you go out to these places? You're kind of crazy." And I say, I really like just being outside, connecting back to these sites, because, you know, it's who we originated from. I still want to keep that going, because it's something so beautiful, I don't want it to be lost. It also serves as inspiration for my art pieces too, because I can reflect on the art that they left behind, and I can somewhat incorporate the art from a long time ago into a more modern type aspect of it. Being a native guide, it's just a field work or an area of work that isn't, it's not normal, it's not traditional than what the American dream is. Now that is a lot of like sitting in a cubicle and being stationary. For me, being a native guide, you don't do that. You out and about with people, learning new things, learning about the language, the traditions, the animals, plants, the biodiversity. So you get a lot of cool information being taught to you when you're a guide. So that's why, one of the reasons why I like doing this stuff. And it's just really fun to go out here. You meet new people, you meet new teachers, new mentors, and down the road you become a mentor yourself. Wait.
Hello, my name is Ritchie Sahneyah. I'm from the village of Tewa out on the Hopi land, and my clan affiliation is tobacco. I'm currently a student at the University of Arizona studying anthropology and minoring in American Indian Studies. I've only done one trip so far, but so far my experience with it has been really eye-opening in a way that I can engage with other people, not from my own similar background, from different backgrounds, but we all have the same experience, and we all enjoy being outside. We all enjoy seeing like ancestral sites or the landscape, or even just the animals or birds. We all draw joy from those experiences. Growing up, like I remember taking school trips to some sites like within Flagstaff area, like Walnut Canyon or Wapaki, maybe the Grand Canyon. But we always talked about places like Chaco, Mesa Verde, and we nobody's probably never really seen them within my own family. We always talked about it and seen it on videos or pictures and stuff, but nobody's actually been to these places. Coming from an anthropological and archaeological perspective, it helps me make connections between my own culture and my own experiences living on Hopi Reservation and talking about these places. So making that connection physically, it does a lot more to me and makes me understand a lot of my own teachings. After my last trip, I took pictures and I was showing my mom, I was showing my mom's partner, who's actually Blair clan from Sapalavi, and he saw the bear petroglyphs at one site, and he was like, "Wow!" Is like so surprised about it, and experiences like that. It's just the older generation, my grandmother's generation, my mom, they never had like the economic opportunities to see these places or didn't know how to get there or know where to stay. I make that a priority for myself to share what I see and um, share my experiences because maybe they won't be able to get to see it within their lifetime. Our connection to the world is so instant now that people have access to all kinds of stuff across the world. And the first thing you said was be patient with the information I'm giving you. It's the Hopi way. We're not given all our own teachings instantly. It's not given to us that way. It takes a lifetime, maybe even longer than a lifetime, to learn just a small part of Hopi tradition and culture. And further down into your life, into your older ages, it finally clicks for you. You understand what they were trying to tell you. It takes a lifetime of reflecting on that information to finally understand what those songs, what those prayers, what your parents, your grandparents, your culture, community have been teaching you. We come to these places to heal, to set out our prayers for good things in our life. So for me, I think guiding is a way for me to get out on the landscape and find these little sites that I can connect back to my own culture. So I mean, that was one perspective. And the other part of it, now to me, I see myself getting into is more of a public education, not only for non-Indigenous people, but for my own people too. I feel like I can put it on myself for my own community to learn about these areas and then educate my community about these places so that we can find reconnection. And I think that goes a long way for empowerment. For me, seeing these places and how people think these are ruins and they're old things that don't have any significance. But if you look at the architecture and passive ways of using solar heat, or they're really sophisticated, and if people can go to these sites and recognize that kind of stuff, we can empower ourselves to say we came from these areas, and we can draw strength again from our own cultural identity. Being able to visit these places and bring the information back to my community so we can empower ourselves to be strong-minded Pueblo people and find empowerment in our own cultures. Last summer, I was part of the Crow Canyon internship program. I was the American Indian Initiatives intern, and they kind of rolled into me kind of collaborating with Lyle and with Crow Canyon and having this opportunity to come out on this trip. I didn't know what it was going to give me, and that was the important part of that trip. I felt it was just the camaraderie around the participants and just being in these sites. It was like fully like immersive experience that like can be replicated. Just seeing some of the pictographs and petroglyphs on the walls, and they're showing symbolically like the clanships that are related to the contemporary Hopi people living on the Hopi mesas, and making those connections that, yeah, we were here and there's evidence here, right here. But actually being here and feeling what I feel, stop and listen to to the nature, the wind through the trees, the birds chirping, whatever, insects chirping. It's just like close your eyes and take it in. And I think that's the important part that I wanted to get across to participants here. Is not about just taking the pictures, but remember those feelings and connection that are in these spaces as well.
Hi, my name is Nate Francis. I'm descending from the village of Tewa Village from First Mesa. I live in Albuquerque, New Mexico. I was born and raised in the Four Corners in New Mexico. My clan is Sahneyah Tobacco Clan in Tewa.
Just growing up in the Four Corners area, like I mentioned, it was our family time. My mom, my grandma, my uncles, and I would go exploring out into these areas, just remembering where we come from. And I fell in love with being around our ancestors a lot. And I wish that other people could enjoy the moments that I felt being out there and learning about the land and learning about our people. I was fortunate to grow up in my own village, but to me, these places are my village. When I need help, I return back to these places and I pray and I ask for guidance that they can give me as I continue forward on this journey. I know that all these trips that I've been on, they're not a coincidence, they're like a calling. I feel a part of me that needs to be there, whatever, I just follow it and don't resist against it. And when you leave these places, it's like you leave a part of you. It leaves you emotional for a couple of days, just like the Grand Canyon. It's like I left a piece of me, but it's a good thing that I left a bit of my journey with them and my prayers along the way to guide me, to help me understand these places in my own journey. After 2020 and being an Indigenous guide, going through that whole chaos that went on, during that time, it made me reflect on my career path as being a graphic designer for the last 20 plus years, and seeing all this chaos and how much mental health that was created within our own Indigenous community and worldwide with the whole pandemic. So this past spring, I went ahead and I started going back to school to start a new career in psychology, to combine it with the outdoor, make it into a new career of outdoor therapy. And my whole reasoning behind it is just to help heal a lot of people within our own Pueblo communities, Hopi community, and Indigenous community, to reconnect them to these spiritual places. A lot of families have, and Native Indigenous communities that have suffered multi-generational trauma, especially within Pueblo and Hopi, going back to the Pueblo Revolt and beyond. There's a lot of domestic violence. There's a lot of alcohol, substance abuse, opiates, suicide. And I want to help them. So being an Indigenous guide, I feel that it's important for me to reach out, and using my background of being a guide to help heal. And it was my way of healing as well, as my own family has suffered a lot of dysfunction. It's got to be now or never, or continue to repeat the pattern. So I would like to use our ancestral sites, as a place to heal. A lot of people, as Indigenous, we have our own unique way of healing. We need that spiritual connection to begin that healing, because a lot of it is that without that connection, we're not as whole. That these places are well alive. Our people are still here. The spirits are listening. In a way, you talk to them, leave your prayer and offerings behind. They'll figure out a way to help you.
Okay. Well, that's really don't know what else to say about it. You know, it's just been a great experience to do the project itself, you know, and spend time with these individuals and you know, start telling the story from our perspective. And I wanted to give time to any of the group, Ritchie, Nate, or Autry, if they don't have anything to say right now, you know, you don't have to. But if you want to say anything, here's your time to make a statement or whatever. And then we'll finish out. I have a few more slides to kind of wrap us up. But if you guys have anything to say, go for it.
Hello, everybody. I just wanted to say, or actually give thanks to Crow Canyon, everybody at Crow Canyon, Liz, Becky, Adam, Laura, who all helped make this project possible. So feel very blessed to be able to participate in projects like this. So thank you a lot for including me.
Yeah, I just wanted to thank everybody for this special opportunity. Kota woha kakwe, for everybody that was all involved. And I enjoyed it, and I hope to do more trips with everybody and continue to work with Crow Canyon.
Okay, I know Autry's here. He put something in the comments, but we'll go ahead and move on. All right, and finish out here. We have a little bit of time, and I want to be able to have some time for questions, I guess. Let's move on here. So some of the things that we didn't get to talk about, the top two bullets there that you see on the right there, and I can't really see it because of the screen thing here, but those are some of the other issues that we weren't able to touch on in the film. And one of the top one is really important because what do I mean by respecting our personal and cultural boundaries? And what I mean by that is not everything is open source, I guess you should say. I guess I could say. We're not open books when it comes to our culture, and we're not Indigenous Google either. We don't have all the answers. And so it's really important for us as guides to establish boundaries with our work that we do. And this is something that I tell the guys and pretty much everybody I work with on trips, that what Ritchie was referring to about having patience, that's something I ask of all of our participants, is to have patience in how we experience this landscape. Oftentimes I won't say anything for a while, and we'll just walk and hike, and then we'll start, you know, talking about cultural history and other things of that nature. But really it's about making this environment comfortable and familiar for us as Native people. And that second bullet, you know, is another important thing that we need to keep in mind is, are we accurately representing who we are? And so part of that is always representing that we are still living cultures. We are still here. We are not stuck in some ethnographic past, and we are not stereotypes. And so that's a big message about some of the work we do is showing people the living culture of Native America. As we move forward, the last four bullet points are really kind of a generalized perspective of what we hope to do. We want to increase our numbers, and I realize that we have a diversity issue in this group as well, and so that's something that we are working to improve. And the reality is that, you know, these guys are all in school, and so their availability is limited as well. And so as we move forward and as opportunities arise, there will be space for others to come in and experience some of these trips, not just with Crow Canyon, but other opportunities that we're working on as well. We want to continue to create training and employment. This is a big part, you know, being a guide, particularly like a river guide. It's not cheap, you know, to get involved in this type of work. The gear, the training that is required to become an active participant is something that is one of those barriers that I mentioned in the very beginning there. And so That's something that we want to address. Something that all of us are thinking about is how to make this work sustainable. I mentioned in the beginning that there have been other attempts at this work, and a lot of it is dependent on funding, of course. And so that's a clear limitation that we have in terms of how do we continue to support not only these individuals, but others that come online. And so in this discussion about how do we make this sustainable, partnerships and collaboration are a big part of this. And so there are many conversations happening right now about how we can partner and improve, our own abilities as individuals, groups, and organizations to provide the services that we do. One of the things I am working on here on my end is tribal nonprofit development. Through my work, I've seen that Native communities have to be in the leadership roles of this work. We have to be at the front of determining how this work is going to be carried out. My experience, again, has also taught me that this community-based work, it truly has to stem from our communities. And so I'm currently talking with a local nonprofit here at Hopi in the hopes that, pretty soon we can start using them as a fiscal sponsor. So then we can then start to pursue grants, donations, and other in-kind resources. I need, for me, in able to carry this work forward, I need some form of formal structure to this work. And so I believe a tribal nonprofit would serve us in the long term. Who can you support and where do you find us at? Of course, Crow Canyon, they're always there and willing to help us move this work forward. I want to shout out to Nate. He designed their 40th anniversary logo, and we actually have a video of him talking about the significance and meaning behind it. We just weren't able to fit it into this video, and I'm pretty sure that will surface at some other date. I want to give an acknowledgement to Canyonlands Field Institute. They operate a Native teen guide and training program, and I believe this is for 18 and younger, maybe 13 to 18 as the name implies. This has been going on for a few years, and they have good leadership there with 2 Diné female river guides in Colleen Cooley and Brandy Ateen. And they've also been successful in having participants return as instructors. So they're holding their own over there. If you have a young person interested in this type of work, I would recommend shooting them to either Crow Canyon or Canyonlands. I want to acknowledge Seiko Outfitters, operated by Cody Little out of Bluff, Utah. Cody and I and others are actively working to increase the Native participation on the river. And so you should see us out there as well. And of course, I want to give acknowledgement to our good friend, Lewis Williams, Diné Lakota guide. Lewis has been one of those individuals who has held on to this idea for a decade at least. And, I'm very proud of Lewis to be able to continue to work on this issue. And he's been able to establish himself with Ancient Waves River and hiking adventures. And so if you're looking for Native guides, hit up either one of these organizations and you'll be sure to find us there. And that's really all I have. We have today. I think we're doing a little bit okay on time if we have questions. But before I close out, I just want to give a big thank you to everybody that showed up to hear the talk today, but also to all of those folks that have traveled with us. It's because of you that we're able to support these individuals and continue to do these trips. To the staff at Crow Canyon, we owe them a huge thank you. Not just the research staff, but the campus staff itself. They take good care of us. They feed us, they house us, they make sure we get from place to place very safely. And so I want to acknowledge the staff at the Crow Canyon campus and our own special group that is always there with us out on these trips or in support back at the office. Sarah, Kate, Becky, Laura, Liz, Taylor, David, Adam, Steve, Ben, who's moved on, and our good friend, Joe Paychak, who was able to join us on one of the trips. If you want to get in contact, there's some contact info. If you want to stay up to date on what's happening, you can follow my blog. It's free. I generally post just general updates there. And that's all I got. So again, thank you all for showing up. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Lyle. Everybody is putting a lot of compliments in the chat that all of you should take a look at and read before the end of the presentation. We have someone pop something in, and I was going to do this anyway, asking about the cinematographer or the producers, and Laura, if you would unmute and maybe show us your face for a moment. I really want to give a shout out to Laura Brown, incredible employee of Crow Canyon, who has actually joined us the first day of the pandemic shutdown at Crow Canyon as an employee, and we didn't have the job we thought we would have for her, and we said, well, what else can you do? And she said, well, I actually like photography and videography, and she has become our in-house filmmaker and is just absolutely incredible. So I wanted to thank you, Laura, and not to put you on the spot, but if you wanted to maybe say a few words about your experience making this film and working with our scholars.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Liz. So I've done a couple of films with Crow Canyon so far, and this one is my new favorite. This group of people was just absolutely amazing to work with. I love each and every one of them dearly, and they all contributed to the film so much. A lot of the photographs and some of the footage is even theirs. I really wanted to make it kind of a wholehearted effort between all of them, and I was just kind of behind the scenes putting it together. So these guys put this all together. They're wonderful, and I'm really happy that it turned out the way it did. And thank you guys for working with me.
Well, thank you, Laura. If you'd like to see more of Laura's work, if you subscribe to our YouTube channel, she did a wonderful movie with Pueblo Potter, Ron Martinez, Looking Elk, that is available on YouTube. That's also just a wonderful example of the work Laura has been doing for us. So Lyle, there has been a bit of some things posted in the chat around people can't help to notice that you're on public lands, and as you're doing these trips and training guides, and there's some questions around, well, what's the status of co-management, right? It looks as though Forest Service, Interior, BLM, and obviously having worked in that, I was wondering if you could speak to that a little bit.
Well, I guess in general, my experience in co-management really stems from my time in the Bears Ears. As an archaeologist, I spent 8 years from the very beginning of the monument kind of initiative, working in that landscape. And one thing that I noticed is, again, like I mentioned in the film, a real lack of the Indigenous scientists out there doing actual field work. My perspective is that we're not there at co-management yet. We're really lacking true Indigenous science. And what I mean by that is, you hear a lot about our cultural values and how we relate to the landscape. But what we don't have, or what we're missing, is how do you translate those cultural values, those beliefs, into actual field treatments, into actual field methodology? And there's some examples, like in forest science, there's some really good Indigenous knowledge being applied there. I have some experience when it comes to the conservation work that we were doing in the Bears Ears, relying on Indigenous knowledge, the true innovators of who built those places, right? And so, in recognizing that their technology was the best. And so what I'm getting at is that in order for co-management to become a real reality, we need to start getting our Indigenous people doing active field work in the field, applying the science, working to translate these values and beliefs into actual methodology again. And so this is one way that I see, again, basing my experience from the Bears Ears, about how we can engage our communities and start to get our people involved beyond a cultural advisor role. Those are very important roles for us, but again, we're dealing with modern science again in a big way, and so we need to start to see those active Indigenous scientists out in the field. And this is one way that I see, that we can encourage our people to then start to investigate how they may become involved in co-management through various their own academic studies or other community advocacy. And so co-management is a big issue right now, and there's a lot of different ideas on how to make it happen. This is just my ideas or my perspective based on my work, in the Bears Ears. And what I see as a real need is that people, the American public needs to see us, the natives, doing the work out on the landscape, actively, applying our traditional science in field methodology. And so that's where I'm headed with this in this work. And I'm very interested to see how co-management develops in the next 2 or 3 years, because I feel like we're in a really good spot, or we're getting to a good spot in being able to see the numbers of Indigenous people, not just working as guides, but as scientists as well. So I would just say stay tuned. I will continue to advocate for that message. We'll continue to advocate for Indigenous science and see where that goes. But yeah, there's still a lot of work in order for us to be able to see true co-management come to reality.
Wow, thank you, Lyle. It's something that we support all of you in that endeavor. I moved here from Alaska, working with Alaska Native communities, and up there, I think I got the sense that co-management to the Alaska Native communities with the federal government was, we actually want decision-making and control over these federal lands, right? Not just influence in your plans, but that these are our lands, and the next step would actually be a little bit stronger than influence, but real management is a part of that, which I know our partner and friend Teresa Pasquale, who has posted a hello in the chat. I'm sure this is something that she would be interested in and helping with, that may involve a little bit more lobbying, more of a policy stance on some of this as well. Let's see, well, I have to add in sort of a fun question, which was Autry. Everyone was really appreciated your musical talents, and we had a question wondering if they were for sale, if there was public access to any of your music yet. I don't know if Autry is taking a little break there.
I don't know if he's able to chime in. We'll work on that.
Yeah.
While we were up in Glen Canyon, we were fortunate to record probably 6 to 8 songs of Autry's, and I'm sure you'll hear more of that in future productions. So we'll see what happens.
Absolutely, and this will be up on our YouTube channel, so you can always put up the music and listen to some of Autry's work. Incredibly talented. We just we have 1 minute left, Lyle, and I wanted to respect all of your time and see, as we have these trips lined up, some of which you'll be guiding on, and we're all incredibly fortunate to be able to work with you. We're starting to talk to Taylor and Laura and I are starting to talk to the people who are signing up for these trips, and we're thinking about what can we really communicate to our participants about what to expect, because we're not a travel company, right? These trips are intended for Crow Canyon to deliver our mission in the world, a huge portion of which is reciprocity to our Native partners and communities. And so we're trying to think of ways to set expectations for these travelers. That last slide that you had about respecting boundaries, understanding that we're not here to entertain you, right? We're here to have you as a part of our group. I was wondering if there's any kind of parting comments you'd like to make to the folks who will be joining us on these trips about how to orient themselves to be a participant.
I think just come with an open mind, and voice your expectations, of course, once you're amongst the group. And but really, I guess when I started doing this work, there was more of a structured feel to it, kind of, this is the script that you need to follow. As I've progressed along in the years now, I've come to see that really open conversations, just kind of having a two-way dialogue is really important to have in these trips. And so I tell folks, feel free to ask questions. I'm always better at answering questions than just kind of rambling on. And there's a second part to that, because some questions may not be appropriate, but rather than just cut you off and tell you no, that's an opportunity to then kind of explain to you what those personal and cultural boundaries are and why they're important and why we need to set a different tone around these trips in terms of how we relay this information and what you should expect. One of your expectations may be that you get every one of your questions answered, and that's probably not going to happen. We're not experts either. I'm not an expert. I don't know everything. I don't claim to know everything, and neither does anybody in the group. And so we want to present the most realistic representation of who we are and where we come from to you, and be willing to engage with you on any question you may have about who we are and what type of life we live. That's really kind of the message we want to put out there, is again representing our living cultures versus the stereotypes. But if you have that kind of perspective, I mean, not everybody is fortunate to have access to all the different resources about educating ourselves. And so I'm very aware that many people come on these trips with maybe some misconceptions. And so that's okay. That's all right to be able to enter this space, knowing that we will do our best to help present a more accurate representation of who we are and give you the up-to-date, respectful information regarding our cultures. And so I don't want to set it up too much. I just want people to know that we're there to answer questions. We're there to provide as much of an experience as we can for you. And so we just welcome anybody to come on these trips. And we look forward to seeing you all in the coming year.
Thank you so much, Lyle. Correcting misconceptions is what we're all about here, and we're really grateful to you for your help in that. So we will we're a little bit over time, so we will let you go with our sincere gratitude. Anyone else on our panel? Becky, would you like to say any final words?
I'd just like to say thank you. Lyle, the work that you do, and the way that you do it, is just the words that you use, it's just so eloquent. And I think that you just do such an amazing job that when we're out on the landscape, it's really great when we can make everybody else think about what is out there and how it looks in a different perspective. And so you're just doing an amazing job, so thank you very much.
Thanks, everybody.
Wonderful.
You all are doing great too. So good job.
Thank you. We're all really lucky. Thank you, everyone. Thanks, everyone, for watching. Richie and Nate and Autry, we miss you. Come back. And we will be seeing you soon, Lyle. Take care, everyone.
See you guys.
See you, everybody.
Thanks.
Thank you.